Buyer beware. If the deal seems too good to be true, it probably is. Stick around to find out more. Hi, I'm Sean from Cove Lessons in Boating. And definitely over the last 2 years, after COVID peaked and that market settled out and money became harder to get and the prices of things started to go up around the world, we've noticed a real uptake in fraudulent behavior in the boat market. So one of the cautions that we would give you is make sure that you know that there's no lien on a boat and or that the boat hasn't been stolen. PWCs like Yamaha Wave Runner or BRP Sea-Doos have been targeted a lot lately. And what happens a lot of the times is they're stolen, or people get loans with false identities and then skip out on the loan, and then these used PWCs end up being sold in the private market, and they have liens attached to them from the original time they were purchased, and they can be confiscated by the authorities. Your best defense is to buy things through a dealer, because then they're responsible to make sure that that unit was paid for properly, doesn't have a lien, and wasn't stolen. Also, theft of wake boats has become very apparent. And in fact, we had 2 stolen from our inventory 2 years ago. The issue there is that they are often stolen and then taken sometimes to Quebec or across the border, and then the serial number is changed just ever so slightly, so it still looks like a legitimate boat, but then they're resold often at a very heavy discount because these people want to cash out and move them quick. And then when you go to register them, have them repaired, take them into a dealership, it's found out that it was stolen, and now that boat is confiscated by the authorities. Again, buying your boat through a dealer that does a proper lien check and checks to make sure the boat isn't stolen with the manufacturer is your best defense, because then they are responsible to make sure you're whole again. So remember, if you buy a stolen or a fraudulently obtained boat and you own it and you've paid for it and they come and grab it, you are out that money. So it is really important that you protect yourself to make sure that that boat is free and clear and open to buy. The hull identification number or serial number is what is most often used to find out what happens. And a dealer can run that number and find out where it came from, who it was registered to originally. And sometimes what we find is that the serial number or the HIN, the hull number, doesn't exist. So often when they change it just enough to make it look legitimate, but what they end up doing is changing it to something that was never built. And that is exactly what happens when these units come back into dealerships and we start to do service work on them. We realize that that boat was never produced and was stolen. Even if you are buying on the private market, you can protect yourself by having a lien check done on the boat. In Canada, you can go through Boating Ontario as one resource. And ideally, you're going to take that engine serial number and hull identification number and call the local dealer for that brand and have them do that legwork for you. Hopefully, they'll do it at no cost, but even if you have to take the boat to them and have a slight bit of service work done in order for them to do that check, it's well worth the insurance. Boating is so much fun. Don't let some crooked thief take your fun away. If you're in the market for a used boat, check out this video to see some of the common problems that you can find with used boats.